Imagine a world where your life savings, the stability of your business, and even the fate of your entire nation rested not on the shoulders of government, but on the character of a single man, a man with immense power, immense wealth, and a reputation that both inspired fear and commanded respect. In the autumn of 1907, America found itself in precisely this precarious position. A financial crisis of unprecedented scale was brewing, threatening to unravel the very fabric of the young nation's economy. And there was no central bank, no Federal Reserve to step in. The United States was on its own. Have you ever thought about what keeps our modern financial system from collapsing? What if that safety net simply didn't exist? To understand the drama of 1907, you must first examine the American financial landscape of the time. Unlike today, the United States did not have a central bank. Instead, thousands of independent banks and trust companies, each a separate entity, operated. This system arose from a profound American distrust of centralized power stemming from early experiences with a national bank and its perceived abuses. These trusts were often more aggressive in their investments than traditional banks, promising higher returns and thus attracting significant capital. However, they lacked the safety nets we consider standard today: federal deposit insurance, unified oversight, and most importantly, no single institution capable of injecting emergency funds into the system in the event of a panic. The Panic of 1907 was sparked by a speculative gamble involving copper. Two brothers, F. Augustus Heinz and Otto Heinz, along with their partner Charles Morse, attempted to dominate the entire market for United Copper Company stock. Their plan was audacious, but ultimately, of course, it failed. The collapse of the Heinz brothers' gamble caused their associated banks and brokerage houses to falter. The fear soon spread to the Knickerbocker Trust Company, one of New York's largest and most prominent trust companies, which had connections to Charles Morse. Rumors, true and false, began to circulate, eroding public confidence. On October 22nd, 1907, the whispers turned into a roar. Customers, fearing for their savings, began to line up outside the Knickerbocker Trust, demanding their money. This was the dreaded bank run, a self-fulfilling prophecy of fear that could collapse even a solvent institution. Enter J.P. Morgan. At 70 years old, he was already a titan of industry, a man whose very name commanded respect and often fear. He was vacationing in Richmond, Virginia, when the news of the escalating crisis reached him. He immediately returned to New York, knowing that if the Knickerbocker Trust failed, it could trigger a domino effect across the entire financial system. Morgan didn't summon government officials to his Treasury office. Instead, he hosted the members and presidents of New York's most powerful banks and trust companies in his newly built private library on Madison Avenue. This was his fortress, and it was about to become a battleground for America's financial survival. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Morgan, known for his outspokenness and strong will, demonstrated the gravity of the situation. He demanded that the competing bankers abandon their rivalry and pledge their own funds to prevent a complete collapse. He famously declared, "If money is to be provided, it must be provided now." The stock market, already reeling, was on the verge of total meltdown. Brokers, unable to secure loans, faced ruin. Morgan quickly organized a pool of funds to shore up the market, preventing a catastrophic cascade of failures. But the crisis was far from over. The city of New York itself faced bankruptcy. It needed millions to cover its payroll, and the municipal bonds it offered couldn't find buyers. Again, Morgan stepped in, organizing another syndicate to purchase the bonds, saving the city from defaulting on its obligations. But the most dramatic moment came with the trust companies. On Saturday, October 26th, Morgan once again gathered the trust company presidents in his library. He presented them with a choice: collectively guarantee the deposits of the struggling trusts, or face a complete collapse of confidence that would drag them all down. The trust company presidents balked. They were rivals, unwilling to risk their own capital for competitors. But Morgan was unyielding. He reportedly locked the doors of his library, informing them that no one would leave until a solution was found. Through the night, as the city slept, The fate of the American economy hung in the balance. Finally, as dawn broke on Sunday, October 27th, the agreement was made. A pool of funds, led by Morgan's own firm, was created to guarantee the trust company's deposits. The news spread quickly. The runs on the banks ceased. The panic of 1907 was, effectively, over. A single private citizen, by sheer force of will and immense personal capital, had stepped in where the government could not. The panic of 1907 was a profound turning point for American finance. While J.P. Morgan was hailed as a savior, his actions also highlighted a dangerous vulnerability. The nation's financial stability shouldn't rely on the willingness or even the life of one man. Do you think it's healthy for so much power to rest in the hands of one individual, even if their intentions are good? The lessons learned from the panic were undeniable. The need for a stable, centralized authority to manage the money supply, provide liquidity during crises, and supervise the banking system became a national priority. This widespread realization directly led to the passage of the Aldrich-Vreeland Act in 1908, and ultimately, the creation of the Federal Reserve System in 1913. The Fed was designed to be the lender of last resort, the institutionalized version of what J.P. Morgan had so heroically and exhaustingly performed in his library. So, what does this 1907 crisis teach us today? It underscores the timeless importance of trust in finance. When trust vanishes, money loses its value, and the entire system can unravel. It also highlights the concept of systemic risk, where the failure of one institution threatens to bring down many others, a lesson revisited during the 2008 financial crisis. Today, the Federal Reserve serves as that critical lender of last resort. When banks face liquidity issues, or when markets freeze, it's the Fed that steps in to prevent widespread panic and ensure the flow of credit. It's the institutionalized safety net that J.P. Morgan, for one crucial week, had to embody all by himself. How do you think our financial world would operate today if we still didn't have a central bank? The story of J.P. Morgan and the panic of 1907 is a powerful reminder of how quickly financial stability can erode and how crucial robust institutions are for our economic well-being. It's a story of individual heroism, but also a catalyst for systemic change that continues to impact us over a century later. If you found this deep dive into financial history intriguing, subscribe to my channel for more stories that reveal the foundations of our modern economy. Don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts on the Panic of 1907 in the comments below.